And we begin again at that courthouse in New York, where jury deliberations are now underway at the Donald Trump hush money trial. Just earlier, the judge finished well over an hour of instructions to the jury. This is the first time in U.S. history that jurors are considering the fate of a former U.S. president. And this isn't just about legal history. It could have political ramifications as well, as Donald Trump is the presumptive Republican nominee for the November election. The prosecution said Trump sought to illegally influence the 2016 election. The former president has pleaded not guilty on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. And once again, we are joined by CBC's Katie Simpson, who's outside that Manhattan criminal courthouse. Katie, tell us more about how today is unfolding.
Well, the judge gave the jury a very specific set of instructions for what they can and can't, or they must consider when taking everything into account and coming up with either a verdict or whatever it is they are going to end up deciding as this historic moment takes place. He went through charge by charge, all 34 of the counts, explaining to the jury what, again, they must consider when it comes to this situation. And he also talked about intent and talking about intent on behalf of Donald Trump, explaining what that is, saying they can take into consideration all of his actions and the circumstances around it. Now, after deliberations began at exactly 11:28 a.m. Eastern Time, Donald Trump and his legal team slowly emerged from the courtroom, and Donald Trump once again offered a scathing assessment of the charges he's facing.
I would say, in listening to the charges from the judge, who's, as you know, very conflicted and corrupt, because of the confliction, very, very corrupt. Mother Teresa could not beat these charges. These charges are rigged. The whole thing is rigged. The whole country's a mess between the borders and fake elections, and you have a trial like this where the judge is so conflicted he can't breathe.
So it's important to point out that when Donald Trump makes the claims about this court case being rigged and about the judge being conflicted and the allegations that he has consistently made that he is being prosecuted unfairly, Donald Trump has not presented any evidence to back up that claim. However, he continues to say it over and over and over again, right up into the deliberation process.
Katie, let's talk about all the action you've been seeing and hearing outside that courthouse. What's going on there?
Well, it's funny. It's interesting that, the claim Donald Trump just made in there, that's what we hear from Donald Trump's supporters. It's not just here outside the courthouse, but it's also, I've heard it from Donald Trump supporters at the different rallies and different events we've gone to in recent in the last few months as Donald Trump basically secured the Republican nomination for president. Today, we spent some time in the park directly across the street from the courthouse. That is where a small group of protesters consistently shows up with their flags. Some wear costumes, and they're here to cheer on the president. It also attracts some critics of the president, and we had some conversations about their concerns around what's gone on so far and where things go from here.
Total bogus trial put on by Joe Biden and the deep state, but my belief is that there's one person on that jury that could see through the BS, and it'll be a hung jury.
Well, I think someone that's broken the laws, and not just now while he was president. You can go back quite a few years with Mr. Trump. I mean, when it comes to him and his dad, when they wouldn't rent to certain minorities.
So that is a woman referring to some allegations about Donald Trump going back to the 70s and some of the real estate practices that he and his father are accused of. But Donald Trump never faced any sort of criminal prosecution for that. So that is one thing that's important to point out. In terms of where things go from here, we've spoken with a number of the people who are here monitoring the case, the regular citizens, Trump supporters or Trump critics. They are not concerned about safety or security, about whether there's going to be any sort of volatile reaction to whatever this verdict may be if the jury does reach a verdict. But that, of course, is something that's always in the back of everyone's mind after what happened on January 6th.
CBC's Katie Simpson at the Manhattan Criminal Courts in New York. Thank you.